What's up, everybody? Welcome to a really special episode of Office Hours, dude. I'm bringing on like the man, the myth. Like this guy crushes social media, and we're gonna have an incredible conversation and collaboration about, man, lots of stuff from how to work with your company, CRMs, social media. It's gonna be a blast. Kick off Office Hours. Welcome to the show. Yeah, we did it. What's up, man?
What's going on?
Dude, okay, so for people that don't know you, let me give everybody a background for a second on what's happening here. So I met this guy through mutual friends. Now we're working together. But like when I found out what this guy was doing, so for people, I have to frame this up, man, because you've been going live on social media for what has to be like 3-4 years now. Is that about right? Or maybe 2-3 years?
2.5 years.
2.5 years. And your lead generation strategy in the beginning was to go live on Facebook every day, effectively. And this is like the glory days, right? Like every day. So break it down for everybody what you did.
So before we were posting videos, we weren't getting into the algorithm. We couldn't get ourselves in because we were just a needle in a haystack.
Yes.
Well, we learned that as soon as we started going live, that's when we started trickling into the algorithm. So we started doing live every day.
Every day.
So,
what time?
Pretty much we changed the time. So we were, I wanted to do it during the daytime, but eventually now I do it at night. So
yes,
after the kids go to bed, the parents set up shop and they watch the live. And if they stay after the live, that's when, or they, message me after the live, those turn to deals pretty quick. So eventually we went from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And then we found that 9 o'clock was the best time. So now I go live on Facebook and YouTube twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. And then I do a Q&A on Instagram on Tuesday.
So what I love,
my Monday lives, I teach something. And then on Wednesdays, it's all Q&A. So if someone doesn't want to be sold, they go on Wednesdays to ask as many questions as they want.
Well, man, you're like the first person that I really like found who was doing like edutainment at scale on live on social media. Like you were going right to the consumer, sharing good vibes. You always bring good energy. You bring positivity. You're bringing answers and solutions. And this is an incredible lead gen like activity because a lot of people are still running around off social media and they're not playing this huge big game. I mean, you just hit 10,000 followers on Instagram, if I remember correctly, like a 6 months
ago.
I'm
at 17,000 right now. I'm getting close to 20, trying to get there. So we're 17,000 on Instagram. We're about 5 days away to be 4,000 on YouTube. And YouTube, we only started 6 months ago. And on Instagram, on Facebook, we're about 31,000.
So I love your story. I love the fact that you were a really early guy to dive on lives on Facebook and social media. You're generating hundreds of leads a month from these platforms. You're just building and starting. So this is gonna be a fun office hours because you're living it. And I know that the questions that you have that we're going to collaborate on are some that many people have in mortgage banking. So it's going to be a really good conversation. I'm excited to kick it off, dude. Where do you want to start?
Well, first I want to say, I appreciate you helping with these questions, no matter where you are, if you're doing social media, if you're not doing social media, if you're not learning and moving forward, then you're not moving forward at all. So I really appreciate you helping me out with this because some of you guys who are watching this, if you are already a branch manager somewhere, you might think like, well, how is he going through these basic questions? Literally, I'm like not in quicksand, but I'm not moving forward right now because I'm stuck right now with where I am with my growth. And I'm really coming to you, not to just, be on here, but I really need mentorship in these areas so I can take my business to the next level. So I really appreciate that.
By the way, man, you're so humble, dude. Like there are so many people that would love to have the success you've had. I mean, it's incredible. You put yourself out there, you hustled for years, you didn't have a nice studio setups and all that stuff until later in your career, but you're killing it, dude. So I know you're, impatient and you want more, but trust me, man, you're at the top. But let's rock, dude. What do you want to talk about first?
So my first question, how do you feel about corporate censorship? Do you agree with it or do you not agree with it? Outside of rates and fees, should a loan officer wait for approval to post something? Or do you feel like it delays the growth or is it necessary for protection? That's
Dude.
where I'm at right now. Of course, as I'm getting, as we're growing, I'm getting more eyeballs, and I feel like I'm now before I was just posting what I want. Like for a perfect example, I had the OJ one. If the DTI doesn't fit, you must have quit. But then they told me not to post that. So these are the things. But you would laugh, right? But they said like you should make another page and do like a mortgage meme thing. But that takes up too much time. So that's what I need help with.
So there are so many loan officers out there that their biggest problem, man, is that they actually just don't post at all. But we're actually through that question. We're into the, how do I feel about corporate? We'll use censorship. But I think the real question that every company faces is how much risk are they willing to take? So Laura already said, great question. It's an awesome question. How much risk are corporations willing to take? And we have to recognize that we live in an incredibly litigious society, right? Everyone sues everybody for everything. Like we were joking before we went live about you have to have the coffee cup has to say that it's hot now because somebody spilled the coffee and sued McDonald's or whatever it was because the coffee was hot. So we live in this crazy world and we have crazy risk. And mortgages specifically have tons of risk, right? There's lots of regulation on mortgage people, like shoved down. So every company is going to have different standards. When I look at like banks who have deep pockets, there are predators out there that want to like come in and take the bank down and take as much money as they can through any litigious means possible. So banks tend to tighten the screws down in a way that, in my opinion, inhibits growth from sales. But you got them kind of on one side. And then you've got like little one-man shops or something where they don't really own anything. They have no net worth. And they're willing to take, you've seen some of the advertising. There's some crazy stuff out there that's massively non-compliant. That's just absolutely, like, I'm looking at Instagram stories these days and be like, dude, you can't post that. But like, it's a one-man show. Like, who's really going to catch them? Is the CFPB really going to go after them? Like, no. So then you got non-banks, Loan Depot in the middle and everything else, trying to figure out what's the best path. So here's kind of what I think. To your point, rates, fees, there's clear guidelines on these things, right? I believe that a company's best opportunity is to trust their employees to do the right thing. Now, does that mean you're taking risk? For sure. But when you take the bank's path of, I'm not going to trust my employees, I'm going to lock everything down, then you get that kind of stunted area. I think we need to trust our employees. I think we need to empower them, train them, and trust them to do the right thing because the speed of the internet is so fast, right, man? Like you can't you got to come out live on something like right now. If you wait 4 weeks to get something like through the machine,
propositions right now, like all the propositions are going on right now, right? So like those are things I felt like I wanted to talk about it because guys, remember when you're on these platforms where I'm at right now, it might be gone tomorrow. LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, if they censor you tomorrow, right now, as you're building your social guys, SEO is big. So of course I want to write a lot of stuff and I feel like I wanted to talk about the proposition so I can gain momentum. But I know, well, I picked a side so didn't want me to really talk about it because I am making a decision and people feel like if you make that decision, you're making that decision for Loan Depot as well, even though I'm not, but they're saying you are making that decision. Because you're making a stand about a proposition that says Loan Depot is making a stand about that proposition.
This is a really complicated area that most companies are trying to figure out right now because there's Minh Nguyen, the human being, who can have opinions and have their, you can say who you voted for and you can get on social media and talk about what you care about because you're a human being, right? And then there's Minh Nguyen, the employee of XYZ company or Loan Depot in this case. And so I get this situation all the time where I'll get asked to come on like a podcast or somebody's deal. And they're like, I got to make sure I tell everybody at Loan Depot, look, I'm not coming on as a representative of Loan Depot. I'm not coming on saying, hey, here's what Loan Depot thinks, because that can be very easily, misconstrued. And they could say, well, Alec's speaking for Loan Depot. And whoa, no, Alec's speaking for Alec. And this is a very complicated line now with video and social media, which is where, again, every company is going to figure out how much risk are they willing to take and then pass that back through to help you guys continue to grow. So it's a great question, man. And I want to get to that. You had an underlying question there that's really important, which is, SEO, building your own thing. What happens if these social sites change, right? Because Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this a lot. Like what happens when Vine was a thing and now it's gone? TikTok's now here, Facebook's now here, but what happens if Facebook goes away? Zillow's here and handing out leads like candy. and a lot of people are building their business on Zillow. What happens if Zillow decides they don't want to play that game anymore?
No, they just became their own mortgage company. So my
Absolutely.
friend who works for Zillow, she's literally in Zillow. She was top region, but the money plateaued because no one really wants to get Zillow anymore, zip code. So they transitioned her to being a loan officer. She's actually just got her NMLS for Zillow. So now all the people who are buying Zillow leads, they just lost out.
Yep, dude. So to kind of put a pin on your first question, dude, here's my take. And Laura basically made the comment down here, which I love. It's the company's responsibility, in my opinion, to empower, train, and educate their loan officers so they can go out and be real-time live. I mean, here's the other thing, man. Like, when it wasn't on social media and it wasn't all like, I remember very clearly when like the compliance violations were non-compliant flyers that people would make and hand out on the street. And all of a sudden they would find that flyer somehow and it would get back to the company and up the chain. Well, now I just go on YouTube or I go on Facebook and I'm just like, oh, that's not right. Like the compliance police are there. And that's also where the lawyers are. So I think that the job of any great company is to empower, educate, and then let you guys run your show to drive influence and opportunity.
Okay. All right, cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, because I know the Loan Depot's kind of. I didn't know we have a marketing Bible on what our colors are. So now I see handbook, that. Baby. I don't a handbook. I don't know if other loan officers, depending on where you work, reach out to your company. They all have handbooks. So now I know, because I put a lot of work into my colors and all that. Now I'm transitioning it, and it's just double the work, double the time. So it's good to always get that up front. So I appreciate that. So the second question I have, especially now, in the beginning when I was doing social, there's two ways to build a platform. The first platform is you're an influencer where they get to know and they fall in love with you and they trust you and they do the loans through you.
Yep.
If you do that way, now you're caught up in the business or in the loans. If you do your other way, where I didn't build it, where you build more of a generic platform where you're not always the face, that they're not dealing with your personality. And when you do it that way, you can grow further. But I did it the first way, where now I'm dealing with the loans. Since I'm dealing with the loans every day, to make sure things are closing, so I have proof of concept. I can't get to all the platforms. Like I don't post on LinkedIn at all, where I see a lot of people. So like, where do you go? Like, do you go LinkedIn? Do you go Facebook, YouTube? Where should you stretch out your time to maximize it,
dude? So this
stretch out your hand,
this is a killer question. Like, what platform to play on? Because there's so many now, and like TikTok's become so popular, right? And it's like, where do I go? And I think the first thing every loan officer has to do is analyze who's your target customer. Like, who do you want to call you and say, "Man, I need a loan"? And once you start to identify like who that perfect customer is, what's your perfect customer profile, you start to realize, okay, well, where are those people? So like, here's an obvious one. You want, and every loan officer wants, people with a job. Right? You need a job to get a loan. You want people that have that want to buy a home or currently own a home, right? So you want tap into those people. Well, guess where those people tend to be? They tend to be on Facebook and they tend to be on LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn, obviously, it's a professional platform, so people are there looking for jobs or have jobs, and that's where people are with jobs. So you kind of look at those two platforms and you go, okay. We need to start there and maximize those platforms. Yes, TikTok's hot. There's great reach and algorithm, but maybe you're not getting the customer profile you really want from TikTok. But I think when you start to focus on Facebook and LinkedIn, you get the biggest lift for your buck, because that's where the target audience is living. And yes, when Facebook goes away or gets destroyed or broken up or whatever happens, because look, nothing's permanent. But so Facebook could go away, which is why I do believe in diversifying on multiple platforms. But I always preach this, dude: go where the people are, go where your target audience is, and you've done a great job of that for sure on Facebook. You're crushing it, and I know that you're getting the same type of lift now on Instagram. The reason I don't preach Instagram so much, you're really good on Instagram, Min, because you're exceptionally charismatic and you put on a great show and very educational. But I don't really normally preach Instagram, because if I'm a single loan officer and I want to build influence with customers and my past customers and realtors, and I go follow all of them, they have to follow me back to see my stuff. And if they don't follow me back, they're not seeing my Instagrams.
Yeah.
So on Facebook and LinkedIn, when I connect to them and they can accept it, now they're going to start seeing my stuff.
Okay.
But that's a different tangent a little bit.
So there's another portion right now I'm wrestling with, because So you know, we shouldn't care about the subscribers or the
Oh
likes.
yeah.
So, but so like there's a couple people I follow on YouTube, right? Seems like YouTube, you can grow a bigger audience if you talk. Seems like you can grow a bigger audience if you're trying to teach people how to be a loan officer. Seems like if you're teaching people, like my two best videos right now. So I just got monetized on YouTube, right? The
Congrats.
two videos that are like my bread and butter that's churning money is the different types of lenders. So people, because most people want to find out which lender they should work for. Also, how much do loan officers make, or how do loan officers get paid? So I have other videos that are doing okay. Of course, down payment system does really well, but those two videos, but those are what's growing my audience. But so there's a part of me that wants to make more videos to grow my audience by talking about, you know, the day, like all the videos, if you see out there, the day in the life of a loan officer trends the most compared to like teaching FHA or teaching tips or hacks about buying a home. It's, you know, so there's a part of me sometimes I wrestle every day. It sounds crazy because like, well, if I'm doing this every day, why would I wrestle with it? There's that insecurity. Is like, let me teach more about the business so I can grow my fan base more. Like,
Yes.
you know, should I stay focused? Like that's what you,
Dude, everybody,
that's the question.
every day you got to answer the same question. Who is my audience? And is it the one I want? Because vanity metrics don't pay the bills. You could put out a viral video of how.
I'm gonna write that one on my board actually to remind myself. Vanity metrics doesn't do that right there. I think everyone struggles with, but no one wants to talk about. So thank you so much. Like vanity metrics does not pay the bills. I'll tell Adam that for sure.
Yes, and I know it feels good, like in this egocentric world, to be like, I have this many subscribers or followers or likes and all that stuff, and I'm like, how many loans did you close? Like, well, I mean, you know, I got a lot of likes. like everyone has to focus in on, why am I producing this content, for what purpose, for what end, and stay in your freaking lane. Like the second you go, whoa, I could be kind of popular. It's like, well, okay, like I don't mind that, but if you lose focus on what you're doing, and like, man, I'll be simplistic here, right? Like, let's say you're a loan officer that just wants to get people into homes, like first time home buyers. That's your whole mission in life. And I know you're broader than that, and you're looking at a lot of angles, but for any loan officer who's like, and then only like produce content around that lane and stay in the lane. As soon as we go out, I see loan officers doing funny videos on making fun of songs, and they're repurposing the song to talk about mortgage. If it's not driving leads, it's a vanity metric that doesn't matter. If it's driving leads, double down and double down and double down. But to your point, man, like you should try it. Maybe that will work. Maybe a thing about life in the loan officer delivers leads. Then double down. But when this is where a lot of people, I don't think, actually look back on their business and go, what results did I get from this? Not vanity metrics. Like, what result did I get? Leads. And that's where a lot of people fail, because they lose sight of the end game, dude.
Wow. I honestly, I think I'm probably gonna put that up. I'm gonna decal it up somewhere in my room, because I struggle with it every day. Trust me, like I'm chipping away. I'm like, I'm excited. I got 10 extra followers. And then there's a lady who made a video. She broke a bottle of wine. Stop whining that you can't find a house. She has like 50,000 hits on it. And then, but I looked up her numbers. She's not really funding a lot. But then there's that part of me that loses for a second, like, how did she get 50,000 views in like 2 minutes? Because she broke a bottle of wine. It looks kind of funny, you know, and we forget. And I got to write that down, right? Vanity matrix doesn't pay the bills.
Yep. And Brad has a similar question. Like, do you think you need a mix of both? Some videos to increase traffic and others to drive business from the increased traffic. Again, it all test and retest and test and retest and look at the results. Traffic to your website or to your app or to your Facebook page may not drive leads. Traffic for traffic's sake is not necessary. That's why I'm so focused. Like, are your followers the people that you want following you? Like, are they the ones that are going to actually increase your business? Otherwise, you're just giving yourself a pat in the back. You know, look how many people I have following me. But again, like, I'm not going to crap on it. Like, if it drives you leads and to the result you want, then that's awesome, man. Like, to Brad's comment, like, I think you got to test and retest and look back and go, what were the results?
So I do have, so like I said, every time I was waiting to talk to you, but every time I do feel insecure, there's a couple of people that follow me that have, there's one, it's a guy and girl that have 700,000 followers on YouTube.
Yeah.
Some of these other guys but I'm finding out how much they make because they want to know how much I'm making.
Yep.
And some of them that have more views because it's all nationwide and not, unless you have that many licenses. This guy has 56,000 followers. There's one other realtor, I don't want to say his name because he probably wouldn't want me putting him on blast, but he has 56,000 followers on YouTube, but he closes 4 transactions a month for a real estate agent because most of the transactions are from out of state. So he's answering a lot of questions because if you don't answer, then they start putting negative comments that you're just a fraud or like you don't help out people, but he's answering more questions than he is really closing transactions.
Dude, that's the best example. Well, not to mention the fact that there are people that you can buy likes and buy subscribers and buy all that stuff too. So, but if this guy grew it all organically and it's not necessarily turning into transactions, you're wasting your time. You're not paying the bills.
Sometimes I have to remind myself that, but your quote really helps out because even though I should know this by now, I'm thinking, I'm doing it for 2.5 years, I should know it by now, but everyone forgets.
Yep.
Everybody gets that insecurity. Like, I got 10 likes, but the other person got 50. Like, oh my gosh, So,
dude, every single loan officer out there would rather have 100 followers who give them business regularly, who love them, than 10,000 followers and you fund no loans.
Yeah,
it's like obviously number one. Like I want that real thing, dude.
Okay, cool. The next question. This is what I'm struggling with right now. Me and Adam, my direct manager. Is it better to be a local legend or try to scale nationwide?
Ooh, this is such a good question, dude. And we were just touching it on the previous conversation, right? Because again, if you're nationwide, then you need to have nationwide resources like licenses, et cetera, right? You got to be. This is where I'm most excited about what the internet space is doing for mortgage pros. But it's also, in my opinion, one of the most complicated areas, which is, man, your content can go nationwide, can go international. Your videos can go all over the world, which means you could have the opportunity to be in everyone's living room across the United States at any time. That's massively powerful, man. That's like crazy. That's more powerful than a Super Bowl commercial, is the fact that this social media platforms can put you in everyone's living room at any point in time. Even videos you did 7 years ago can still show up relevant in somebody's house today. Like, holy crap, that's amazing. And again, I think it comes down to, are you in front of the people you want to be in front of? Or are you in front of everybody?
So the reason why I'm asking that, because right now I'm pretty stressed out because like I have one deal right now. Her name is Tina. She's from South Carolina. So she just apped out with me. So I'm going to put the file together and now I'm going to send it out. Like I got to find someone at our company in South Carolina. So every day now, so I have New York, I have New Jersey. So it's becoming more of it's like I'm like back in the days when they have the telephone ladies are connecting you with different people. And it's because that's eating up time, but you feel like it's still worth it long term, because short term it feels like I'm spinning my wheels, thinking about being a nationwide when I should just go, if it's nationwide, just let it die, move on. But you don't feel that way. You feel like,
no, I think it comes down to priority for yourself. Everyone's going to answer the own question. How big do they want to play? And then recognize that if you're going to scale, like we're talking about, if you're going to scale up, you're going to have to build infrastructure and resources around yourself that you can handle this type of business. Because, like, look, let's point to some of the big direct lenders in the country, right? Like Loan Depot and Quicken. Big direct centers, lots of loan officers. Average loan officer has 8 to 10 licenses. So they're multi-state licensed. And Loan Depot, the big machine, provides them leads, right? So that's effectively the marketing agent. In your world, micro down, you're effectively the lead generator, right? You come out, you educate the world, you bring your personality, you build trust, and then leads come into your world, and then you got to figure out how do you service all those leads. So a normal loan officer, though, I think that why wouldn't you start local and then let that naturally grow? Because if any of us get real technical on the numbers, there's plenty of business. And let's just pick like in Southern California, there's billions and billions of opportunities here, dollars worth of mortgages. Hello, like it's right in your footstep, and our market share is nothing compared to what it could be. So you look at that and go, wow, maybe if I hyper focus there through my ad spend, my advertising. Again, it's about what customer do you want? Go target them. That's the other thing that I love what you're doing and social media allows, is like, as you get more tactical, you can focus in on the exact markets where you want to do loans.
Yeah.
You can put your ad spend directly on zip codes where you want to go. And that's where your ad's going to show. And that's where your target audience is. I mean, that to me is incredibly awesome.
Okay.
So I think every loan officer should start dominating their local market, and then naturally it's going to spin up to larger scale.
All right. Well, what I got amongst my priorities, so my priority is going to be local. So okay, thank you, appreciate that. Next question is, so I got 2 more questions for you. So do you market yourself or do you market the company? Because the average loan officer doesn't stay at a company longer than 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
Of course, there's ones that do stay, but the ones that don't, like when you leave, like your footprint just stays with the company. Like how do you feel about that?
Dude, this is such a good question. So let's start first with, someone's going to get a loan with you, Min, and your team because of the trust they have with you as the consultant and the navigator of their process, right? So we have to honor that, recognize that, which means that you need to show off that and market that, right? You need to show off your differentiator, show off what makes you unique, what makes the consultation you're going to provide different than the loan officer next door. So loan officers should absolutely market themselves. In fact, I see a lot of mortgage professionals who don't. And all I see is their company logo on everything and a company generated generic flyer on everything. And I'm like, where's your humanity? Like, where's the person that they're going to do business with? Like, show up. I want to see you, dude. Because people tend to build trust with humans way better than they build it with national brands. Now, saying that, you likely, and me and everybody else, we trust Amazon. There's no humanity at Amazon. You don't know the person there. You don't know who's going to drive, but we have huge trust in Amazon because they built it over time with us, right?
Yes.
So companies actually should work really hard to help you as the mortgage professional and your customers have trust in you and the company. Think about banks. A lot of people go into banks and get a loan at banks. Well, they don't know the loan officer necessarily. They know the bank, and they have trust in this institution that it's going to deliver what the teller there says it's going to happen. So I think there's actually a marriage that a company needs to strive to provide tremendous value so that when you walk out and they're like, oh, Loan Depot, hell yeah, I know that company, reputable, great company to work with. My friend got a loan there. And now your sales pitch is going to become easier because they like Loan Depot. But at the same time, if you don't exist as a human and they're not building trust with you, then you have a huge problem. So I really think it's a marriage of both. But I also think that it's on the company side to give some air. I call it air support. Give some air support to their sales team, right? Like, call in the air support. Like the fact that Loan Depot has national commercials, I like that. My friends are like, hey, I saw the commercial the other day. And I'm like, there's some air support. There's some brand. There's some trust building happening there. But if the local pro, man, like, you do a great job of this, but I see a lot of loan officers who don't. You got to market yourself, man. You're the doctor. You're the one that's going to be diagnosing and consulting the customer. They need to have trust with you. So I think it's a marriage, dude.
Okay. Yes, that's where I'm trying to get the balance with right now. Because since we've been here for over a year now,
yes,
myself and Adam, we're trying to stay here. So we're trying to okay, when do we bring Loan Depot in? When I talk to people, a lot of people don't even. I give so much information.
Yes,
I don't even tell them where I work because I'm afraid to, because I don't know okay, what's going on, But so it's a marriage. So there's eventually, because I do lose a lot of business because I don't tell them I'm a loan officer at Loan Depot, because sometimes though it's like if you're a doctor and a patient comes in, they go to that doctor and go, hey, which doctor should I go to? That's all. I get that happen a lot. Which lender should I use? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm standing right here, and that's okay. So a marriage, all right.
Yeah. So man, like for you specifically, my coaching or advice or feedback would be, as soon as you look, I know you were at a bank before, and we don't need to go into that whole story about them. But I know that they were being more restrictive than was necessary, and you were having to kind of almost hide the fact that you were a mortgage, like that you worked, like, hey, I can do your loan. You almost kind of hid that to a degree. I think when you let that open and you just say like, no, dude, I'm a loan officer, but you still have this great like air about you, Min, where you're like, you're not trying to strong arm anybody. You're trying to give education and entertainment. And if you're the right resource for them, they should use you. If there's a better resource, they should go use them. And you preach this all day long. You have this abundance mentality, which I love. So as soon as you continue to go and open the door and go, by the way, I'm a kick-ass loan officer, man. Like use me for questions. I think you need to figure out how you say that. With at the same time being like, but I just want to provide you resources. Like, I'm not trying to like trick anybody. I'm not trying to like, like, you get me, right? Like, get it out, dude. Let everybody know, dude. Scream it from the mountaintop.
All right. That's one thing I got to start adding. Okay. Last question. This is the one I need you to put on your loan officer hat from back in the days, not your corporate hat right now. Okay.
I love it.
All right. This is the question I have.
Yeah.
If I'm a loan officer, just like same question, people change all the time. Also, I want something customized to me. Sometimes corporate companies don't have it that customized. Do I use my own CRM or do I use a corporate CRM? The reason why I'm asking is because right now I know texting is big, text drip is big, and I know a lot of corporate companies, I think it's because of the laws of rules that you can't message people a certain way. Is that why they're not doing like, because that's like, okay, then I'll just use my own CRM, or if compliant, just use the CRM. Like, how do you feel about that? Use your own CRM or the company CRM?
This is one of the best questions for mortgage professionals, and I have lots of answers and thoughts on it. So I'm going to give you tons of feedback on this.
Which hat are you wearing first?
All of the hats.
Okay.
So, loan officer Alec, right? And loan officer Minh. Should you have in your phone a Rolodex of all your customers that you talk to? Should you so that if Loan Depot or any company just explodes and doesn't exist anymore, should you have the people that you wanted to have like do loans for in your Rolodex? 1,000%. Of course you should. Of course you should. Should you steal customers' documents and put them in your own Dropbox? No. Like, God, no. Like, a customer gave you their tax returns and you put them in your personal Dropbox. Like, you're going to get sued. So now you have all the area in between, right? Like you have your customer's name and number in your phone, and then you've got their 1003 and their tax returns in your personal Dropbox, and then all the gray in between. So let's talk just a little bit about what's the right thing. Okay, the right thing is you have every right, and every loan officer has every right to maintain a Rolodex of every customer and realtor and prospects and people that you want to do business with. But you don't have the legal right to have their private personal documents stored on your person outside of the company's secure framework. Got it. I can understand that. Okay. Now, I want to market my customers with texting, and my CRM at my company doesn't have texting capabilities. Should I go get another vendor on my own and text customers? Okay. Like that, what that doesn't bother me. Go text them all you want. Now, are you violating TCPAU laws and texting people inappropriately as an employee of the company, and could you get sued and then the company can get sued? Then don't do that. Again, this goes back to like, should we trust our loan officers to do the right thing? And the problem is, if we don't educate them, if we don't make sure they know what's right and wrong, then it's on us as the company, because they're going to go out and maybe do the wrong thing inadvertently. But I see this all the time of loan officers who are like so afraid of their company and their CRM. I'll give you an example. I've had employees leave Loan Depot, like, loan officers, they sometimes they come, sometimes they go. I wish they would stay forever, because I get all attached to everybody. But they have left and they're like, hey, can I get my customers' names and numbers from the CRM? And I'm like, yeah, dude, here, download it, give it to them. Like, because I want to have good relationships with that loan officer, and they can have a Rolodex of their customers. That's fine. I think that companies need to operate that way. It's how you build trust and relationship over time. But if you want to use a vendor or something else that does something cool to market your customer, and our company doesn't do it, it's that gray line of like, well, what is it? And it's all in between. Sometimes it's totally fine. Use that third-party vendor. Sometimes it's like, hey, let us vet that third-party vendor and make sure they don't do things that would get Loan Depot in trouble. Okay, and now you can use the vendor. And sometimes it's, hey, we can't use that vendor because they don't do this, and we can't have our hand in the cookie jar. If the CFPB ever comes in, that's not legal. And so I think that the answer, Minh, is do the right thing. Do the right thing. Don't steal customers' data and take it to a personal place, because that's not illegal. Can they exist in your phone with their information? Of course they can. Should you maintain a Rolodex of your customers? 1,000%. Every loan officer should. You're an idiot if you don't. Okay. But I think that's kind of the line that I think people don't understand. And this is where people get sued. This is where loan officers make the terrible mistake. Like, I cannot tell you in my career how many times a loan officer comes to me for 1,000 reasons and is like, I'm no longer happy here. And I'm like, okay, can I make you happy? No, I want to go somewhere else to be happy. Got it. And then the next day, I get an email from IT. Loan officer uploaded all these customer documents to their Dropbox. We literally watch it happen, and I'm like, you're an idiot. Now the lawyers have to get involved because you just stole, customers' information from the company. You have to remember, man, when a customer, or any loan officer has to remember this, when a customer gives you their personal private documents, they're giving it to the company, to the loan depot. You're facilitating the transfer of that document to the company. They're not giving it to Minh for you to store in your house. Now we know that, but loan officers get like really weird about this, and they're like, "No, it's mine," and I'm like, "It's not." The customers, you're facilitating it to the company. Don't keep it in your pocket. Mm-hmm. But I know that is a little bit of a broad answer, Minh, specifically. But I hope that was.
I think you kind of set a guideline for me, so I understand. Like, I'm reading it, what you're saying, and I'm reading between the lines of it too. So I understand if it's using the CRM to communicate, that's great. Making sure I don't say something that I'm not supposed to be saying, but taking the consumer's actual information is where it's wrong. Because that helps out a lot, because right now, like I said, we're wrestling with, okay, should we do this? There's like, because right now when I generate the lead,
yes,
I'm working on saying the word lead. When I generate the consumer, the viewer, so I'm trying not to call them a lead anymore. So
I know it's like, so dehumanizes them, right? Like, lead, they're a human.
So when I talk to the viewer and I generate the consumer, so working on that. But I have to, so I try to assign it to, so the best thing is to group text the loan officer and the realtor, because and because if I control the real estate too, then they don't, it's like they don't get wiggly with trying to change lenders as well, because if I let them pick their own realtor, it's going to get squirrely on me. So I try to control both. But I know, like Follow Up Boss right now let you group text, but you can see both people on the group text. Other CRMs, when you group text, it sends one to each person. That's the reason why I'm like, okay, for that purpose, it helped me on it, because I'm like, man, should we do it, or should we figure out, should we just use the email drip through Loan Depot? Like I've been stressing with, but that helped out a lot. So so no, you answered the question. It was like broad, but you gave me pretty much what I needed to understand it.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's another angle, man. Like I have an AT&T iPhone, right? I'm texting a customer. That's totally cool. How else should I text them? They go, hey, I want to send you my tax returns. I don't go, okay, cool. Send it to alechansen@gmail.com. Like, well, why would I send it to your personal email? Like, I don't want to give you my personal. So it's like, well, you're right. Sorry, use my secure portal. Like, there's a difference here. If somebody's giving you information and they think it's going to Loan Depot, and then somehow it's being routed somewhere else, they're like, well, where's my information going? I don't want my information being stored on somewhere in Gmail. I want it going to Loan Depot. And that's where a lot of people have to understand where to land on this stuff. But communication, all that stuff, man, yeah, dude, go nuts.
All right, cool. Well, I think those are the questions I had for you today. I really appreciate it. You kind of helped me stay focused, make sure that I'm making money. If I'm not making money, don't mess with it. Put my priorities, and okay, I understand now. So it gave me a healthy balance for the next, I think, quarter. I know I'm putting you on blast here. I want to meet with you again next quarter. So I'm like, because this helped out a lot, because some of this stuff, it's like, it's not loan officer stuff anymore. It's more like, how do I stay in under Loan Depot, but still be successful, or any system, no matter where you go. Like if you go with a broker, there's different ways. Everyone has different strategies and different rules to be successful. Like, how do I be successful here?
Yes.
How do I become successful here while I grow?
Dude, the job of any company is to provide you with a platform you can win on. That de-risks your platform so that you can go out and be successful without massive risk that could bankrupt you or bankrupt the company and turn it all off. But people fail to realize is, like, Anthony Shea and Loan Depot carries a lot of risk for us. They take care of all the warehouse lines, and they take care of all the laws and all the legal stuff, so we can go out and just make videos and drive loans and build relationships. Like, we don't have to deal with any of the back end stuff. So there's risk.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Through this situation, all of my buddies who worked at the company ran out of money.
Yeah.
They didn't get paid.
Bad day.
You know, company shut down. No, they yanked their warehouse.
Bad day.
Texas Capital yanked their warehouse line from these smaller companies to give them to bigger companies.
Yep.
I was like, no one's funding anything right now. No one's funding any FHA, any VA. So, and I'm sitting here just like, I'm just waiting, you know, just doing, not even stressing about these things.
So let me do this, guys, for everybody to hang on to the end here. You've got to go follow Minh on social media, because I'll tell you what, brother, like, you inspire me and everybody else that watches you, because you are consistently putting out like great messaging, you know, great education, and you're driving the needle. I mean, you, in my opinion, are like the spearhead of the future originator. You are where the people are on social media, providing value, giving entertainment, and generating your own, like, controlling your own destiny, dude. You're not waiting around. You're doing it. And I just give you huge props, bro. I'm so excited to be on the journey with you, dude. You're really killing it. And that's all I got, man. I just appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. We're hanging out. See you guys next week. Another office hours coming at you.